Hello, trading is closed on November 18th, 2021. We always begin with our disclaimer. This is my trading plan for tomorrow, the 19th. Remember, I can be wrong and all trades should be at your own risk. Well, normally I go over my calls first. I'm going to make a slight change in plans. I tried to record Norm Winski's presentation today. He gave a great presentation, had some very important information, which I will go over with you. But I had major league software problems and just couldn't get a decent recording. And his work actually helped me in the analysis I did. So I'm going to take a little break from our usual thing and go over what he said first. Now, when he was on my channel 2 weeks ago, he gave 3 dates. November 4th, after the close, AC's after the close. November 5th, and the 9th. And these were important dates for certain commodities, but all these dates are important for the stock market. So let's see how we did. If it weren't good, I wouldn't show you. Actually, I would, but let's go over it. He had a miss with the corn. He was off by 2 days and off by 2 days on the beans. But after that, all the green arrows for hits start showing up. He hit the wheat within a day, hit the cocoa within a day, hit the hogs right at the top. Gold and silver he missed. No one's perfect. Crude oil, this is a trade that would have made several thousand, he told me. Right on the nose. The S&P he nailed, so we're going to pay particular attention to what he has coming up for tonight. T-bonds he nailed. All these green arrows are hits. Dollar got a gain. The currencies, they all worked. This is amazing stuff. Week after week. So once again, over 80% winners. It's kind of remarkable. So he's right 80% of the time, plus, what's he say about tonight? Well, tonight after the close, he has a major change in trend. And he has more things coming up tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow after the close. Turns out we have a eclipse of the moon tonight. He tells me it's the longest one in 580 years. I read someplace the next longest one won't be until the year 2662. So it's the longest one for 1100 years. He tells me, if I remember correctly, that when there is an eclipse of the moon, he finds 75% of the time there's a drop of at least 1.25% within 2 days. So 1.25% here is within 50, it's about 50 handles plus. That's not 100%, but a 75% chance of a drop like that for the person who's right over 83% of the time is something you just can't push out of the way. He's been doing this 45 years, and he'll tell you his stuff for nothing. He gives free lessons. Here's his phone number, his Skype address, his telephone, Skype. So if you like the price, which is free, and like the results, which is over 80%, that's how to contact him. Let's get back to my stuff. We looked for the pattern with the early low, which is this. Tomorrow's pattern has the early high. I said I could make a case for the markets going up, and I could make a case for the markets dropping. So I wasn't going to make a directional call. So we said, well, saying I could make a case for it dropping and saying I could make a case for it going up isn't the same as saying we would drop and would go up. It's not the same thing, but that's what happened. We got an ultimate sell signal early in the day, but that's enough to satisfy it. Don't have to go any lower. This drop was called false. We've already recovered over this line, so that's already played out. We have a strong rally. We didn't close over the midday high. It's not the ideal situation, particularly when you gap up and hit a higher high. You want to keep it going. But let's not forget that tomorrow's open can substitute for today's close. So if we do gap up, over this high, and as I'm recording this, futures are up. You're still in an uptrend, still going up. The catch is if we drop instead, particularly if we drop under this low, that's a failure of the rally, and that should lead to lower prices. And it could be a lot lower prices if we gap down. This is how I've been counting it. Doesn't mean it's the right count, but I'll use it until something changes. We had this drop from the all-time high. I would like to have more of a drop than this before the rally continues. We haven't taken this high out yet. If we keep going up, we probably will. It isn't too far away, but it hasn't happened yet. So if we do get a drop, that's an if. Probably undercut this and give me what I want. Don't always get what I want. Let's see how this count works. Well, here's a drop from the high. It's easy to count an A and a B, and then 5 waves up. The fibs work. This doesn't have to be the end of wave C. This doesn't even have to be the right count. You keep going up, you could say it's part of wave 5 or the whole count's wrong. That's possible. But if we do drop here, if that happens, there is a count which explains it. And that would be black B ending here, and then you could have a black C comparable to black A, which is a pretty steep drop. That would make my scenario work, but certainly isn't a guarantee. It would be nice, but futures are up and it might not work. Well, tomorrow's pattern has the early high. Could still gap down. We gapped up at a higher high, closed under the midday high. Not the ideal situation for the bulls, but if you overtake the high promptly, sets things right. Were we to gap down smartly, and that's an if. If that happens, pattern becomes quite negative, should lead to a tradable decline. And if that happens, I think we'd recover because NASDAQ McClellan oscillator is under its lower Bollinger Band, and a reversal back through it will give a signal to buy. Now, we haven't gone back through it yet, and until we do, we could still keep dropping. The ideal situation, would be a drop right from the open, preferably a gap under today's early low, followed by a significant drop. Were that to happen, it should present a decent buying opportunity at some point. However, I don't have anything requiring a gap down, and if we do continue higher, we could break the all-time high. It's not far away, and we could break it fairly soon. So tomorrow's open is going to be important, I think. If we do get the change in trend overnight, which Norm Winski says will happen 75% of the time, then my count's going to work. We'll probably get a sizable drop, and everything will be fine, and the analysis works. But if we keep going up, which he says will be 25%, I don't have anything requiring a new high right now, but I don't have anything stopping it, and it's awfully close. So I'm going to pay careful attention to what happens at tomorrow's open. It's a pattern with the early high. Gap down smartly, it could be a pretty sizable drop. Be nice if it happens, but it certainly isn't a lock, and I certainly am not risking money on it. At this time, I'm going to wait to see what happens. And that's today's call.